You've been beating yourself up about not following through, not starting, not finishing, even when it's something you want. This is for you. And I'm talking to the woman who set goals, make plans, write the vision, but still can't make themselves move. You're not procrastinating because you don't care. You're pausing because your body's still deciding if it's safe to care out loud. So, girl, you're not making it up. You're not just unmotivated. Something in you is pulling back. And if you've been wondering why it's so hard to stay motivated, especially when you know that you're capable, we're going to talk about it. So here's what I see all the time. Smart women thinking that they're lazy or undisciplined, that something is wrong with them because they can't seem to get it together. But what if it's not about that? What if it's not about your drive at all? What if it's really about how safe you feel? And it's a funky kind of thing to think about that my action is connected to safety. But what I want you to understand is motivation, that like feeling to do, like knocking out that list, all of that stuff requires access to your full self. But when your nervous system is activated, even just a little bit, it starts to shut down. And you'll delay, you'll overthink, you'll scroll, you'll zoom out. And not because you don't care, but because your body doesn't feel safe enough to engage. So that's a whole nother dynamic, right? In full disclosure, I'm going to share an example with you. Right? So earlier this year, I went to a training, right? I was in a professional room, and right away I noticed that I was the only Black woman in that space. And we all kind of know what happens when that's us, right? When that story is us. The room, the energy, like we're scanning for all of it. We're looking for all the emergency exits. Like, what? Okay, we're taking head counts like uno, dos, tres, but except it was just uno. Right? So here I am in this space, listening to these people talk about, how they took months off to go work in Zimbabwe, like just casually. Right? They're dropping how they charge like $200 to $300 a session with like no quiver in their voice, honey. All while I'm like, what? Right? Like, who takes months off like their business? Like, where is the melanin? What is happening here? Right. So I started texting my partner in crime, right? I'm like, girl, you would not believe the things that they're saying in here right now. But what I want, I'm like, one of five, pray for me. Right? I'm here for the gems, but good Lord. Right? She's like, yes, bring back the gems, right? And I'm like, oh no, girl, like we're not progressive enough. Like something is going wrong here because they talking about all kind of stuff. I'm like, whew, I'm trying to put away my white trauma so I can take some notes. She's like, yes, come on, stay focused. And I'm like, I mean, privilege, working with a refugee. Oh Lord, oh Lord. She's like, we don't have that kind of privilege. We need money. And like we're going back in this banter for a little bit, right? And meanwhile, though, I'm smiling, I'm nodding, but inside I'm also regulating. And that's what happens when you have the tools that keep you in the game instead of convince you that you don't belong in the room. And some of y'all don't even realize when your system checks out because you just go numb, you disconnect from the room, from the task, and even from yourself. So let's bring it back. You're asking, why can't I motivate myself? But the real question might be, why don't I feel safe right now? Okay. So, maybe they used to call you names. Maybe when you got up to make presentations, like your whole body used to like rumble and shake, right? Maybe they used to call you things like stupid when you try new things. Or when you look at the material, that's the first thing that pops up in your head. Or maybe you were like smart as hell, but had to work so hard to be at the top that just the idea of doing something new feels like work. And it was exhausting to work that hard to be at the top. So we're already making these associations that, this feels like work to do. That's going to be hard. And I'm tired. And when we're tired, we're not motivated to do the thing. Right. So you see that connection? So when you feel unsafe, even slightly, not physically, but emotionally, your brain starts to reroute that energy and away from the prefrontal cortex. Boop, boop. And that's the part of the brain that plans, it creates, it speaks up. So that's why you freeze. That's why that post doesn't get written. That offer never gets launched. You keep thinking it's about consistency, but it's really about safety. And these are the types of things that I talk to my clients about, right? This is what I help my clients and business school members name, because it's not just that they are procrastinating just to self-sabotage, right? I hate that people will even say sometimes like, I'm getting in my own way and like, I'm not doing this. And they're just so critical because it's really not this thing that you're trying to do or not do. It's that you're missing that your body is telling you that it needs something. Something in your system is saying like this feels risky or hard or might set you up to be seen or judged or even succeed. And those things may have felt uncomfortable for you at some point, and we haven't quite resolved it in a way that like keeps us in motion. So the brain connects to this body and it says, oh no, we can't do this. Oh no, don't say nothing. Oh no, go to bed, girl. Do it tomorrow. Right. And because of that dynamic, that's the reason why it feels like I'm all over the place or I can't get it done and just kind of spinning out of control. And you're not really showing up and using your expertise in the way that you would like to. Right. So for myself, when I feel myself getting tired and overwhelmed, that thing pops up in my head, like maybe you should be doing more, right? I try to come back to what's real for me, right? And in that moment, it's not about like, I need a checklist to keep going. It's about, I need to get grounded, right? In that moment when like they were doing what they needed to do and they were like ready to work in that room. I wasn't ready to work yet, right? But I was still present and I needed to get grounded so that I can quickly engage with the room. Right. So sometimes little things that I might do, I might take lavender oil from my drawer, right? I might dab that on my little inner arm here, right behind my ear or right here, right? Under my neck, and just breathe. Just take that breath. Or I'll settle into the breath. I'll put on some music and pray. I was like so loud in my car this morning. They were looking at me, baby. I was at the altar laying it all down. And, these approaches, it's a way to just like release. It gives my body something to hold on to. And sometimes that's what you need, right? It gives me the moment to snatch my thoughts and get it back into a better position. And that sensation, the vibration of a sound, the outpouring of words, the release, right? That does something to you. For me, it reminds me that I'm here. For me, it reminds me that I'm safe. And I'm not always thinking that in the moment, like, oh my God, I'm not safe. Something is like scaring me here or like doesn't feel right here. Like you may not have that clarity of words, but the signals are going off, right? So it's still reassuring you without you even knowing 100% what that is or why that is, right? It allows you to move from that space of disruption or dysregulation, helps you to understand, something bigger has you, that you belong here, that you're okay. Okay. Something else you can do that I did while I was there, like reach out to somebody, text your people. I was there and sending messages. They didn't know that, right? I was there taking breaths. They didn't know that. And while I was doing all of that, it wasn't about anything else except that I needed to just like find the connection of someone who would understand it very quickly so I can connect, get grounded, and keep moving. And sometimes all you need is that one person who like knows you well or knows exactly what you're going through in moments like that so that you don't have to explain it and it just helps you to get to where you need to very quickly, right? And I think that's why I do so much work for women of color because we understand that, right? And like we know it in our presence, we know it in our bodies, we know it if you start speaking it, right? Even if it's not our exact lived experience, it's just so consistent for us that we can quickly get it and help you get grounded and reassured, right? That's why so many spaces that I develop is geared towards women of color because you could be in the room with us and you would never know that that's going on inside of us. Even us, sometimes we don't know. Because instead, again, it'll come back to something is wrong with me. Why can't I do this? The questions, the self-critical things, all of that is what we know instead, right? Because the system has taught us that something is wrong with us if we can't show up and can't do, right? Essentially that we don't belong here. It's this you do. We just have to like unlearn some things and get you there, right? So this is so important to know. All the strategy in the world when it comes to your business, or even just growth, your professional development, it won't stick when that body thinks it's under attack. That why can't I motivate myself feeling like that's not failure. It's your body asking for care before performance, for safety before visibility, for belonging before the elevation. So don't miss the cues or dismiss it. I think a lot of people have already done that in our lives, right? So don't do it to you. Because then I won't see you for coaching too. I'm gonna see you on the couch for therapy. Right? And we don't need it to be deep issues. I need you to resolve it so it can be light work for coaching, okay? But honestly, even in the therapy space, like EMDR does great wonders for that because we can really get to those like core root issues that have developed because believe me, it's usually other people's stuff, okay? But I will also say, inside our community, the Couch to Business Collective, a lot of this body mindfulness work is integrated because before you start selling or scaling or showing up and doing these things every day that like might put you out there, that might feel scary, risky, all of that, you got to know how to regulate yourself. Right. So it's so important to me to really start building and continuing to build from that space and infusing it into everything that we do, because we do need to unlearn and we do need to build safety from the inside out. And I think when you have that, it's so much easier to show up. I think the folks who get ahead have already figured out quickly how to do that. Right. Like high performance is an art, right? It isn't just doing it. And you hear a lot, it's the mindset of doing, right? Which means we already understand some things. We know how to visualize, we know how to reset very quickly, and we understand the power of that to get us ready, right? So that by the time that gun goes off, that task comes, we're ready. Because when that body feels fully supported, your brilliance can fully show up in the room. And you finally get to move, not out of fear, but out of wholeness, that authentic self that everybody talks about, like she can fully show up. So imagine that. Imagine what would shift in your life if you stop calling it procrastination or saying I'm not motivated or whatever that critical thought is. I'm stupid, I'm not enough, and started asking what part of you still feels unsafe? Or what do I need to do in this moment to feel safe? And even if you're not sure, like get into the practices and do it alongside the thing. All right. Okay. I hope some of that was helpful and you can let me know. I'm otherwise super glad that you're here. So much more goodness is coming. And if today landed for you in any way, felt good, anything like that, it was some aha moments for you like, oh, okay, maybe that's me. Like, subscribe, and send this to two women in your circle. Just be like, hey, girl, listen to this. All right. So until we meet again, my name is Amanda Flood. I am a therapist, business coach, speaker, strategist, so many things wrapped up in how can I best help you to leverage those gifts and expertise and boldly take up space, honey. I'm here for your journey. I really am. Reach out, y'all. Talk to you soon.